Imagine being Jack Reacher. You walk into a hotel expecting to rescue someone. Instead, you find a room full of dead bodies. The police are already outside, and suddenly the woman you thought you were protecting may actually be the person behind the entire nightmare. That is exactly where Reacher Season 4, Episode 5, Bridge, begins. And this episode doesn't waste a second. Reacher is cornered. The Philadelphia police are closing in. The woman he trusted has betrayed him. And somewhere in the middle of all this chaos is a mysterious USB drive that several powerful people are willing to kill for. But here's the real question. What is actually on that drive? Because whatever the answer is, it may explain everything. So let's break down the entire episode from beginning to end. The episode picks up directly after the shocking events of Episode 4. Reacher, played by Alan Ritchson, is trapped inside Lila Hoth's hotel suite. Around him are multiple dead bodies. And outside the room, a SWAT team is moving in. Reacher knows that if the police find him there, he's finished. Not because he's guilty, but because everything about the crime scene points toward him. So Reacher looks for an escape route. And in true Reacher fashion, the escape route is ridiculous. A garbage chute. He climbs inside and disappears downward just as the police close in. For a moment, it looks like the plan might fail. Then something unexpected happens. Someone throws a black garbage bag into the chute. The bag drops past Reacher and helps hide him from the officer searching above. It is a small stroke of luck, but Reacher needs every bit of luck he can get. He eventually makes it outside. Now he's free, at least temporarily. Reacher immediately calls Tamara, and during that conversation, the final pieces of the previous episode begin to fall into place. The distinctive curved blades found at the crime scenes are Indonesian karambits, and suddenly Reacher understands. Lila and Amisha weren't helpless victims. They weren't two women caught in the middle of a conspiracy. They were the conspiracy. Reacher had been protecting the wrong people. And worse, he had been getting emotionally close to Lila. Now he has to accept a truth that is extremely difficult for a man like him to admit. He was fooled. Reacher says it himself. I got it wrong. And that sentence may be the most important moment of the episode, because Reacher's greatest strength is his ability to read people. But Lila managed to get past all of his defenses. She made him believe she needed protection. Meanwhile, she was using him. And what happens next changes everything. Tamara and Reacher start connecting Lila and Amisha to the murders. The deaths of Ben and Mary Ellen suddenly look completely different. Tamara believes the Hoths used Mary Ellen to get close to Ben. They lured him in, they killed Mary Ellen, then they abducted Ben. And eventually, Ben became another victim. That revelation also changes the meaning of Anna Merrick's final actions. Reacher realizes Anna wouldn't have sent the missing USB drive to Lila. Why would she? Lila was threatening her. Anna was trying to escape. So who could she trust? There is only one obvious answer. Jacob. And that gives the team their next objective. Find the drive. But before Reacher can do much more, the police track him. And Jack Reacher becomes a wanted man. Reacher is arrested. The man who normally hunts criminals is now sitting inside a Philadelphia jail cell. And things aren't getting any easier. Tamara's partner, Detective Sean Doherty, comes to see him. But instead of helping, Doherty is furious. He wants to know why Reacher dragged Tamara into this dangerous mess. Reacher isn't exactly interested in explaining himself. He knows something much bigger is happening. The police are chasing him, the CIA appears to be involved. Lila and Amisha are still free, and nobody seems to know who they can trust. Then another visitor arrives. A man posing as a police officer, but Reacher recognizes him. He's connected to the CIA, and he isn't there to question Reacher. He's there to kill him. The assassin approaches the cell. He expects Reacher to be helpless behind bars. That is his first mistake. Reacher suddenly grabs him through the bars. The fight is brutal, fast, and extremely personal. Reacher pulls the man toward the cell and tears into him, leaving the fake officer badly injured. Then Reacher takes his keys and walks out. Once again, prison turns out to be nothing more than a temporary inconvenience. Meanwhile, Jacob and Tamara are trying to locate Anna's missing drive. Jacob goes home and eventually discovers something inside his mailbox, the USB drive. Anna really did send it to him. But that's not all. There is also Anna's phone and a password. For the first time, the team may finally have evidence that can expose the entire conspiracy. But no one expected what happens next. Lila and Amisha arrive, and they come heavily armed. They open fire. Jacob and the others scramble to escape. Suddenly, the search for a USB drive turns into a full-blown chase through Philadelphia. Cars race through the streets, weapons are fired, and Jacob finds himself driving directly toward danger. Eventually, the Hoths crash their vehicle on a bridge. For a moment, it looks like the chase is over. Jacob wants to keep them trapped there until the police arrive. He knows they are responsible for too much death. He wants justice. But Jacob's determination nearly gets him killed. His vehicle crashes. The police begin surrounding the area. Lila and Amisha appear trapped.
But these women have survived worse. And then they make their move. They jump from the bridge, straight into the water. Tamara wants to believe they're dead. Jacob isn't convinced, and he is right not to be. Because Lila and Amisha are not finished. They survive. And almost immediately they prove how dangerous they are. They find an innocent man, kill him, and steal his vehicle. At this point, the message is clear. These women aren't desperate. They're ruthless. They don't need a plan B. They simply destroy anyone who gets in their way. Meanwhile, Jacob takes Tamara and Plum to Mayfield Police Department. There, he introduces them to his uncle, Monty DeRosa. Monty is his father's former partner. At first, Monty seems like someone who might finally help them. But something feels wrong. Very wrong. Monty wants to bring the FBI into the investigation. Jacob doesn't trust the FBI. And considering everything that has happened, his suspicion makes sense. If federal agencies are already involved in the cover-up, turning over the evidence could be a disaster. Then they receive another shocking piece of information. Lila and Amisha are alive. They escaped the bridge. And now Reacher's team knows they are dealing with enemies who seem almost impossible to stop. But there is another mystery. Who is Tomas Wapari? Russell has been digging into Lila's financial history, and he discovers something strange. For years, Lila barely had any financial footprint. Then suddenly, a platinum credit card appears. The card has a huge spending limit. It was used to purchase first-class tickets bringing Lila, Amisha, and their bodyguards from Indonesia to America. But there was one more ticket, for Tomas Wapari. He came from Djibouti, and he arrived in the United States at almost exactly the same time. So why did Lila bring him here? The episode doesn't give us the answer, and that makes the mystery even more dangerous. Because when a killer secretly flies someone across the world, you can assume they didn't do it for a vacation.
Eventually, Reacher reconnects with Tamara, Jacob, Russell, and Plum. The group needs somewhere to hide. They get help from Cyrus, a contact who helps them obtain another vehicle. They reach a hotel. And finally, they have a few minutes to breathe. Reacher bribes a member of the hotel staff to give them access to a room. The team gathers around the computer. Anna's phone is charged. The USB drive is connected. Everyone expects a massive revelation. Maybe secret government documents, maybe names, maybe evidence of a massive international operation. But what they find is almost laughably simple. One photograph. That's it. A single image. The photograph shows Samson and Cahill standing beside the infamous General Putra. At first, nobody understands why this image could possibly be worth so many lives. Why would people kill for a photograph? Why would the CIA get involved? Why would Lila and Amisha murder so many people? Then Reacher notices something. There's another man in the background, a scientist. Now the photograph becomes interesting. Reacher contacts Samson. He wants to know who the man is. Samson explains that the man was a scientist working on malaria research in Indonesia, but after 25 years, Samson doesn't remember his name. That answer creates even more questions, because the scientist may be the missing piece. Maybe he discovered something. Maybe he was involved in something the government wanted buried. Or maybe the photograph is only the surface. There could be something hidden behind it. And then Anna's phone reveals something even darker. Her final messages come from a blocked number. The messages appear to be from Lila. Lila gave Anna an address in Philadelphia, an abandoned restaurant, and she ordered Anna to bring the drive there. Now Reacher understands the location. This wasn't just a meeting place, it was where Ben was being held. And Anna's phone contains evidence of what happened there. Videos show Mary Ellen being tortured, and Ben is forced to watch. Imagine the psychological horror of that moment. Ben isn't simply killed, he is turned into a weapon. His suffering is used to control Anna. And once Anna realizes her son is already dead, her entire plan collapses. This makes the USB drive even more important. Anna wasn't trying to protect herself. She was trying to expose whoever was behind the conspiracy. But she never got the chance. Now Reacher is trying to finish what she started. Unfortunately, the police have other plans. Reacher has become famous for all the wrong reasons. His face is all over the news. Philadelphia police are hunting him, so the group has to split up. Jacob and Plum will investigate the mysterious scientist. Reacher and Tamara will go to the abandoned restaurant, but getting out of the hotel isn't easy. Tamara creates a clever plan. She pretends to arrest Reacher. The idea is to make the police think she's simply taking him into custody. For a few seconds, it works. Then someone notices, and once again, the chase begins. Reacher and Tamara race through the streets. Police follow. Cars turn sharply. The situation becomes chaotic. But eventually, the two manage to disappear long enough to reach the abandoned restaurant. And that's where the episode's biggest nightmare begins. Reacher and Tamara finally reach the abandoned restaurant, hoping to find answers about Ben. Instead, they discover a horrifying scene.
Bloodstains, broken restraints, and other evidence reveal that this is where Ben was tortured and killed. But then Reacher sees someone waiting in the darkness, Lila, and she's not alone. Amisha is there too, and they've captured Jacob. With a knife against Jacob's throat, Lila demands the USB drive. Reacher now knows the women are ruthless killers, but he can't simply attack. One wrong move could cost Jacob his life. The episode ends with Reacher trapped in a deadly standoff, while the mystery of the USB drive and the photograph remains unsolved. The biggest question is no longer whether Lila is dangerous. It's what secret is hidden behind that photograph, and how many people will die to keep it buried. And with Jacob's life hanging in the balance, Reacher's next move could change everything.